Assalamu alaikum, Hamad. How are you?
Walaikum salam. I'm fine. How about you?
I'm good, Alhamdulillah. So, how's going life over there in Nest?
Everything is perfect, but because of this lockdown and COVID situation, things are
Hmm.
not normal.
Yeah.
And we are missing the students and face-to-face classes and so many things that used to
Hmm.
happen here
Yeah.
at NAS, but they're not happening now because of the special situation.
All right. So, just as you were saying, the things are not normal because of the COVID, that we are not taking the usual pattern what we used to take in the past before this COVID. How do you take it? Is it something that we have exposed to the education only because now we don't have like that charisma that we used to create in the past by using that material, and it's more about the education now? So how do you take it, the online education? Is it something which showed us the real pattern of education, or is it not good for the education? How do you take it?
In fact, online experience is so much different than the face-to-face experience. It's rather entirely different. And in the beginning, it was very challenging for all of us to get adjusted toward these new, you can say, modes of teaching, like online teaching and everything. I was not very much familiar with Zoom and MS Teams and this kind of things. I never took a class online before, and in fact, once I was asked to take an online class by university, a far-flung university. There's a university in Koita. They asked me to take an online class, and I was. Uh, I mean, when I imagined the whole situation, it sounded like something very awkward, and because when I imagined that I would be sitting here in Islamabad and teaching to the students in Koita, so how would I manage to teach them without the physical presence and all that? But after the COVID, all these things because it had become mandatory for all of us, and we have to do it. We had to do it, so that's why now I am so much confident that I can teach any number of students anywhere in the world. So this is the difference. But of course, it's not normal, and without because there are so many things to consider. There are some certain psychological things, certain things on social level, certain things that we have to modify on evaluation level, you can say. We had to invent new evaluatory models to evaluate students' performance and all that. And it's very, very challenging to make sure that the students are listening to you and they are really there, because it's very tricky. The online presence is very tricky. You are present, and at the same time you are not there. So you
Yeah.
can't pay, you can't make sure whether some students are there really listening to you or not. So that was the biggest challenge. And then the connectivity issues. There are some students living in the far-flung areas, and they have connectivity issues. Their network is very slow, and there are so many different problems, if you and so many different challenges that we had to face. And if you have time, I can shed light on all these issues one by one, but I'll uh,
If you want to share
hand
your
it over
thought,
to
I'm
you.
all ears.
Okay, let's begin with those psychological problems. Like, for example, when you are sitting in the comfort of your home, it's both for the teachers and the students. You are sitting in the comfort. Most of the students I could see, because when I asked them to, for example, present something, so I could see that the students are sitting in their bed, or relaxing. Some students are even lying in their beds, and they are very comfortable. So in that situation, that kind of mental, you can say, frame of reference, you cannot be ready to learn so actively as you are formally coming to the university, sitting in the classroom and properly attending the classes. Even when we are if students are inside the class, it's a bit challenging to attract their attention, keep their
Right, right.
you can say attention alive, and their
Mm.
keep them motivated to listen to you, and it's very challenging because in the current times, all of us are used to of looking at screens that are colorful and that are very attractive. All the time we are either looking at our cell phones, or you can say laptop screens, or television screens. So there's so much beauty and attraction and colors in that. So you cannot create that level of attraction on stage or in the
Mm.
classroom when you are teaching,
Mm.
right? So
Okay.
we have to invent. We had even in the face-to-face teaching, we have to invent new ways of keeping their attention, keeping their focus and attention alive for a longer period of time. So we had to invent so many activities in the class. After every 5 to 10 minutes, I had to crack some joke or something to bring them back to the class. And we
Yeah.
had to do so many things.
Mm.
Otherwise, they are there, but mentally they are somewhere else. So
Mm.
the same case is in the online. It's not the same, but it's even more challenging because students know that nobody can see you, right? And we cannot even force them to turn their video on, right? Because of course they have their own privacy, and they're not all of them can afford to sit in a separate room where nobody's there to distract them or disturb them, or you can understand. So we have different students coming from different backgrounds. So that's why we cannot force them to turn their video on all the time, right?
Mm.
So since that is the case, then we cannot make sure whether the students are really there, or they are just you know present online, they're
Yeah.
doing something else, right?
Mm.
So I had to invent new ways of involving them and making sure that they are there. For example, I would introduce a surprise quiz sometimes. For example, I introduced more grades for class participation, for example, and I asked them to participate more frequently. I assign more marks to class participation, right? And then I realized that some students are shy because there is some noise in the background. Their siblings are there, you know there's some kids or family members are there, and they are they're shying away because they don't want that kind of noise to be heard by the teacher. So then when I realized this, and I realized that not many students are participating in the class discussion and
Mm.
debates,
Mm.
despite the fact that they were given more marks and more attraction to in that sense. So then I asked them to I allowed them to comment in the comment box if
Mm. That's
they
a
are
good approach.
they're
Mm.
not comfortable with uh, the verbal participation, right? So when I did that, then I realized that suddenly, the amount of participation increased. Everybody started participating. Everybody who was concerned with getting more better grades and things like that, right? So this kind of things. And then
Right. Mm.
we also allowed them to, if they are unable to, we recorded all the sessions, and then we uploaded all these recorded sessions on MS Teams. And so that if some students missed something for any reason, right? So that he or she can go back to the recorded lecture and watch that in his or her own time, right? So that's why I personally, although we were forced a lot to make sure that everybody attends the class, but I personally relax them in that sense, that if they are unable to attend the class, they can watch the lecture later, right?
Mm.
But when I gave them more liberties, they were more motivated, and most of them really attended the classes, and they participated. Not all of them, but I think around sometimes 30, 40, sometimes 50 and 60% students were there, right? And they were participating and all that. So then there were some, on social level, you can understand that when students are in the classroom, they are coming regularly to the university. They are socializing with each other. They they meet each other, then they sit in the courtyard, then they sit in the cafeteria, and they talk about so many different things. They become friends with each other, they become familiar with each other. And then when we assign group assignments, for example, it's more feasible for them to sit somewhere in an informal situation and discuss their studies and learn from each other. It's a great opportunity for them when they're in the face-to-face classes, coming to the university and staying there for 5 6 hours, sometimes more. It's a huge social experience, right? And that contributes a lot towards their learning and towards their studies as well, right?
Yeah.
So that was an advantage and an edge.
Hmm.
And so many students could not perform very well because they said that since they cannot see their fellow students, and they cannot meet very frequently, they cannot discuss things face to face. So it had become very challenging for them to cope with their studies and all that.
Hmm. That's true. Well,
uh,
mhm, mhm.
yeah.
Please.
Should I continue?
Sure, please.
Because there is another aspect
Okay.
to that I told you in the beginning, which is
Hmm.
evaluation. So as I told you, evaluation was a lot different in the face-to-face scenario, right? You take face-to-face examination like the midterm exams and the final term exams. But in face in online education, it's very challenging to make sure that there is no cheating taking place, because there are so many modern gadgets, and students have telephones, and they have so many quick ways to communicate with each other, right? So if they're doing a quiz, we cannot be sure whether they are sitting together, or whether they're together online, or they're helping each other or not, right? So it's very difficult. So either you have to make a quiz where cheating is not very helpful, like for example, it's very objective or something, right? Or it's something which involves everybody's personal experiences. In social sciences this is possible, but in sciences, pure sciences, it's not possible. Like if you are assigning them a mathematical question, or so, it's not possible to
You ask them
uh,
their personal experiences. True.
yeah. So they can cheat, they can communicate with each other very easily, and particularly if there are multiple choice questions and things like that. So we had to change the tools of evaluation as well. We have to modify them. So that's why I had to, most of the time I had to assign them take home projects instead of the traditional, you can say, midterm examination or the final term examination, right? Because in that case they had to, we could not call them on campus and make them sit in the examination hall and invigilate them and things like that. Instead of doing that, we had to assign them some tasks at home. So it was really very challenging to create. Sometimes it took me days and days to create those instructions for them, to make it more and more challenging, and to make sure that they're unable to help each other. And then once you make their groups, in any case they are working together, right? So I had to work a lot harder on during the online experience and all that. And then you have to be very cautious and very conscious about the recording thing as well, because you have to be more kind of perfect. If you're recording a session, right? You cannot be imperfect, and you can say sort of casual or something, so you have to keep in mind that everything is being recorded, and it will stay there forever, and so you have to take care of so many additional things, right? So then, as far as the activities are concerned, I modified my evaluatory processes, and I try to involve students in certain online activities. For example, on Teams, I would upload a video and ask them to watch that video and then comment on it or evaluate it or analyze it. So then and then I had to define a limit, a word limit for them, and things like that, so that it's not hundreds of pages that I have to read. So then, I would, for example, when I'm teaching literature, I would upload a story, for example, and ask them to analyze the story, right? But the famous stories that are out there, there are so many analytical materials already available online, so students can easily read it from somewhere and just cut and paste it there. So then I had to make sure that I had to invent entirely new thematical questions, you know, so that students don't find an answer, a straightforward answer online and things like that. So it's really, really very challenging, particularly the evaluation. And despite all these things that we did, it was really very, very difficult to make sure that every student is doing everything on his own or on her own, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So these are the things.
Yeah.
So
That's really lovely listening to that. All the efforts that you were making to make your classes interactive, just as you were saying, the comment section that you.
these are just a few things,
Yeah, just a few
that
things.
I could. I know you have very limited time, so
Mhm.
uh,
Yeah.
I can talk about my experiences for hours if
No,
you
in
like.
fact, I would request you to do share all those experiences. We would also love to uh, post your video. Let's suppose if you record any, or might be it could be conducted through this interview, might be, because this is something that I believe everybody should understand how to engage the students in an online class, because it's not only about your class. There is a whole nation out there, and they all are suffering because of this online system, because teacher could not handle it, the organizations could not handle it, and at the end, on the suffering side, it was only the student, and then you are expecting a
That's
lot
right.
from them, and everything. I mean, so it. I mean, we have mistreated this online education by considering that this is exactly the same the way you used to teach in a classroom. It's not like that. There are new things, new problems, new solutions, and we need to understand. And people say that technology is the future, and the way we have dealt with this online education, this education and technology would never be in future the way we have treated it. So yeah, whatever you are saying, these things are really productive, and I believe like we should be sharing it with the people. So from now to onward, if you want to share further, or even if you want to go things take things in detail, now what were the measures you took to make it more interactive? I would love to listen to those.
Yeah, in fact, I've already told you that for the first and the most important thing is their participation. So, and they are more worried about their grades rather than learning, right? So that's a psychological thing. So whenever you are a student, you are more worried about your grades. So you have to make everything graded, right? So when I made class participation graded, and when I increased the percentage of class participation grades, that was a trick that really worked for me, right? That's something really very important. And then to replace the class presentations, I had to ask my students to record those presentations at home, right? And that was a very interesting experience for all the students, and for the teachers as well, right? But there were some students who were a bit shy, and we had to be very, very flexible in introducing when we introduce these new things. But I was teaching to the masscom students, so masscom students were very much familiar with cameras and facing the camera and things like that, and recording things and editing the videos, and but the students who were good at editing, they were able to perform very well in if there was any hiccups, they were able to remove them by through editing and things like that. So that was very interesting. Oh, a couple of students told me that they are unable to they're not comfortable recording their own selves. So I allowed them to record their voice only, or and just prepare the slides, and then they can embed their voice, and that would be enough. But otherwise, oh, I think
Were able
so.
to do that.
That was very interesting, and now students have different places where they were recording their presentations. Some students who were more concerned about the perfection in their presentation, they went to the nearest place where they can go to a classroom, and in a proper environment they can record their video, and then they took help from their siblings sometimes. And some students use their LEDs and to run their run their slides and all that, and I had to allow them a variety of ways of doing that. Like, for example, if some student doesn't have an LED, so I told them that you can do it in a laptop, and place the laptop somewhere at a high pedestal, so that we can see the laptop, and then you can record. And then there was another way, just as we record sometimes on MS Teams or Zoom or something. There are slides visible, and in a small box the student himself or herself is visible, or something like that. So I allowed them to be creative, and in recording the videos, and whatever they feel more comfortable with, whatever the way they feel more comfortable with, they could record their presentations in their own way, right? In their whatever they found more comfortable, right?
Hmm.
So there were a variety of techniques that students used to record their videos, and then some of them were able to edit them so excellently well that it looked very professional. And then I also allowed them to include, for example, video clips. And because my final project, to make it more interesting, I assigned them certain English movies, right? to Because they will enjoy watching the movie and evaluate and analyzing movie more than a book or anything else, right? So because it was very relevant to what I was teaching to them, so that's why they enjoyed it a lot. And then they embedded various little clips from the video into their presentations and things like that. So it was a great activity. And then I ran all those presentations during the class time, right? As if we were in the classroom, and one by one students were coming to the stage and presenting their slides, right? So and then to make sure that students are there and they are listening to other students presentations as well, they are watching their presentations as well, to make sure that I once again encouraged them to participate, and I assigned certain marks to the Q&A sessions as well. And those who will ask questions or answer questions, they will get some marks as well, right? So that was something the students that gave a lot of motivation to the students to stay there and watch their friends videos. And since there were marks both for the presenter and the person who was discussing things with the presenter, so that's why the presenters would encourage their class fellows to respond to their questions, so that they can also get better marks, right? Because there were some marks for audience involvement, right? That would go to the presenters, right? So the more they involve the audience, the better marks they will get, right? So this kind of things, little tricks, we had to invent in order to uh, ensure that the students, more and more students are involved, and more participation is there. So this kind of things,
All right,
were
that's
there.
yes.
So evaluation was the biggest challenge, I would say, and to make sure that justice is done, and students are given marks according to their performance. And it was very challenging to make sure that students read the assigned materials and watch the lectures, if not attend the live sessions, and then participate in just as I told you that if I'm not sure about whether all the students are attending the class or not, I would take some uh, assign some time of the class, or after the class I would upload some activities on MS Teams and allow students to do those activities in their own time, right? For example, I would allow them to do that activity within 24 hours, or maybe 40 or 48 hours, a couple of days after the class, so that they have more liberty and more choice of their own time. They can do it in their own time, right? So if there is a reading material, for example, if I upload an article for them to read, I would assign some questions after that, and that the students had to answer related, to make sure that students have read the article and they have understood the contents of the article, the things like that. And then I very frequently uploaded videos, and assigned questions with those videos, so the students may watch those videos and then answer the questions and participate somehow. So that participation, was a very challenging thing for us, and this is how I tried my best to make sure that students participated more and more during the class and even after the class, right?
Well, Hamad, I must appreciate every single effort that you have made to make this online a very difficult system to be the most productive one, and you have tried to make engage your student as much as you can. This is really wonderful, and this is
Yeah.
for the first time, and I believe everybody is listening for the first time that the online education system could have used in such a perfect way, at least like
Yeah.
by considering whatever the situation we had, of course, like instead of crying for the normal education, the physical classes that like that is not available, so we can't do anything. That's what we see, like that's why might be people say that losers always come with excuses, but you came out of these excuses and you came up with these
Necessity is the mother of invention.
yes, true, it is, and you have proved it. You have proved it, and I really have this
I'm honestly speaking, I'm still not satisfied, and I'm still working hard on on inventing more productive ways of involving the students, and making the pedagogical activity more and more productive and more useful for both for the students and myself.
but still you've made you've tried to make it better. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So if I ask you, Hamad, how do you see the future of online education in Pakistan?
I think if the situation persists, I think this situation will continue like this, and I personally I'm very hopeful, and I think very positively about online education, and I think if we have to do it for one more semester, or a couple more semester, or a couple more years, those things will definitely improve a lot, I think, because when I look back, I told you in the beginning that I was not very comfortable with the online teaching, the recording thing, and teaching from a distance, and but now I am very much familiar. The way we are talking so confidently and so comfortably at the moment, it was not perhaps possible a couple of years back, right? So things will definitely improve, because people are learning new ways of interacting. People are learning these softwares more and more, universities and institutions are training their teachers more and more, and the teachers who are not well off with the technology, either they will be trained or they will be, in fact, sent away, and they will be removed from the job, I think. And this is happening. This really happened. I have seen in smaller organizations, particularly, not in an organization like NUST, because most of the faculty is foreign educated, and they are coming from developed countries. They are trained there, and and if they are not, they are organizing various training sessions for us and making sure that we learn everything about. We are using MS Teams, in fact, officially, as NUST policy. We are not using Zoom, but and we are getting trained on that, and we are learning more and more. And with every passing day, every passing semester, uh, we are feeling more confident. We are being more equipped with technological advancements, and we are learning more and more. So I think things will definitely improve in future, if we are compelled to continue online for some more time. Things will definitely improve. And there are complaints of students coming from certain schools that they're not being given appropriate time, and the quality of education is not very good. But I think the schools and colleges and universities will definitely overcome this situation with the passage of time, and things will definitely improve a lot in the coming future, in the coming days.
Yeah, true. Because in the beginning they were expecting it's going to be a 2 or 3 month thing, this COVID thing would be, but now it has prolonged, and it's been more than approximately one and a
Yeah,
half year, and now we have took it seriously. Now people are taking it seriously. How to make this online education system productive, and this is also true. Just as you were saying that uh, now you are sitting in Islamabad, and you can teach people who are might be in Morocco, might be in Lahore, or anywhere in the world. So this is such a great opportunity to
yeah,
have, and we should not miss it, even after the COVID, because even I have got so many certificates from the foreign universities, which I was unable to expect even before this COVID, just because
yeah.
we were more into the physical education, on campus education. But yeah, this is such a positive
Yeah,
thing.
there's a plus point as well. Like for example, we had to physically go to attend a conference. We had to go to the US or Europe, or other countries to attend conferences. Now we can attend conferences in the comfort of our own home, and we can learn a lot. I mean, it is an opportunity as well for all of us, because the conferences were not online in the past, in the pre-COVID
Hmm.
days, right? But
Hmm.
now they are online, and now they are encouraging more people to participate online, and it has become much easier to attend the seminars and conferences where we could not physically go, and it has become less expensive for all of us, in
Yeah,
fact, right?
true.
Because if you physically go there, you have to spend a lot of money. You have to get some kind of financing from somewhere. So now it has become easier for us. So there are so many plus points as well.
Yeah.
You know?
And just as you were mentioning that universities and the educational institution, they are working really hard to make the system better. And I believe this is what we should do. This should be the priority of the government and of the institutions as well, because online system is something that is very, very big, and we should work on it, and we should do it as soon as possible. It's not like we just like
Yeah,
problems are making us, or might be when business is suffering, when we have to let the business go because of this online education, only then we'll take it serious. Education itself is suffering and has suffered quite in the
yeah.
beginning, and now I also take it like
Yeah, that's right. Overall, the suffering is definitely there, because you cannot equate online learning with face-to-face learning. Face-to-face learning is an amazing experience. It's there is no comparison between the two systems, right? Well, for example, just imagine a very little thing, which is something called the communication, the interpersonal skills that are involved there. The eye contact, which is between the teacher and the students. And there are so many different things. There are hundreds of different things that are there. As I mentioned in the beginning, there are psychological aspects to it. There are social aspects to it, and there are so many benefits that you get when you are in a face to face scenario. So there isn't any comparison between the two. But if we train the teachers well, and if we guide them, if we develop a professional development training system for the instructors and trainers and teachers, I think we can decrease the loss which is there because of the online teaching system.
Right, the teacher training is required, working on this online system is required, and we have to do it bit rapidly because we are losing time, we are losing this thing as well. And a very negative impression of this online education is coming in the market, and students are losing interest into that. But just as the fourth layer is coming nowadays, so it means we also have to take it a bit seriously. So, well, Hamad, thank you so very much for your time. It was really, really good listening to you, and your method that you have adopted, and all the techniques that you were using to engage your student. All these things were marvelous, and I feel like after listening to this, your session after having sorry, after listening to your practices, teachers and everybody, they are also going to get benefit from this thing. So thank you so very much, Hamad, for your time and for
Thank you
talking
very
on
much.
this topic. It was really an honor listening to you. Hope like you have the good time.